Hello and welcome to Deep Blue Sea, the podcast. I am your host, Jay Cluett, and Mark is still not here. He's still on paternity leave, and if you're wondering, do I sound a little different? Yes, I have a cold. It's fine. We're going to carry on through and edit out anything you don't want to hear. So, what are we talking about this week? Well, we are continuing our Deep Blue Sea adjacent phase of the chapter series season of the podcast, where we're looking at films I'm unfamiliar with that are in some way related to Deep Blue Sea. And this week we are looking at Leviathan. What is Leviathan? I had the same question. It came out in 1989, directed by George P. Cosmatos, and it stars a lot of people from 1989. Peter Weller, Richard Crenna, Amanda Pays, Daniel Stern, Ernie Hudson, Michael Carmine, Lisa Eilbacher, Hector Elizondo. They are a crew of eight people in a very, very deep mining rig looking for silver and other things, other precious metals, I think. They've been down there 87 days, 3 days to go before they're due to be evacuated from their work, their shift, and things start to go awry. So, I'd never heard of this film before, but I have a guest who had, fortunately, so who can come along and be a fan of this. So, he was a guest back in the first season. We look at Deep Blue Sea. He was our final guest for the film, looking at the credits and that oh so glorious LL Cool J, Deepest Bluest, Hat Like a Shark's Fin music video. Joining us back from To the Escape Room is Robert, not To the Escape Room, from To the Escape Hatch is Robert Zerby. Robert, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. It might as well be To the Escape Room because To the Escape Hatch doesn't really exist anymore. So
I had to say you're
that's
from
fine.
something, just like from the concept of the internet in general. Robert
Right.
Zerby, from the podcast we used to host together many years ago.
From whatever podcast you're listening to right now, because he's on that and nothing else.
From this show again.
He only somehow exists on whatever podcast he's on at the moment. Leviathan, yes.
Why Leviathan? Why Leviathan?
I was alluding to some stuff I saw on IMDb that I didn't even know until just now, which, I think it's underrated, or not rated at all, really. Like, I don't know that I've heard about it discussed outside of the context of this podcast. I mean, it's one of those movies, too, that I was always in the peripheral growing up, or, not even necessarily growing up, just always. Like, I remember probably 10 years ago seeing it. I don't think I actually watched all of it 10 years ago, but I either saw it, as an option to stream or, coming up on cable late at night. And then I think I had seen it prior to last year, but I did watch it last year. And so, yeah, it's always been, I think, kind of an underrated, very, as you probably have seen, if you look it up, it's very alien.
It's very alien.
Very alien. I think I wrote at one point, like, they couldn't, I'm sure they were trying, but I wrote, like, they could not rip off Alien more if they tried.
Well, that's it. It feels like they pay a homage to it by, early on, Daniel Stone's character, Six Pack, wonderful name for him.
Right.
Just try it. If I asked someone to come up with a name for a Daniel Stone character, it would take a long, long time before I come up with Six Pack as fitting him. I love Daniel Stern in many things, mainly Home Alone 2. Suck Brick Kid will be on my gravestone, I think. But just that's the name that isn't for him. But yeah, he finds a little like spider crab thing in the water that looks exactly like a facehugger. It couldn't look more like a facehugger whilst being a creature of the earth. So that they are not being subtle with their alien parallels.
Right. Well, the biggest one for me, and I'm going to blank on the actors and the characters' names and what exactly they're doing at the end of Alien, but they're going around with big canisters, like emptying them or filling them. And when Peter Weller and I guess Ernie Hudson, they're doing something, but also I think Peter Weller is carrying around a flamethrower at one point, and that is just very. I mean, I guess that's maybe the flamethrowers maybe more aliens, but when they're doing something at the end of the movie, it just because they're like kind of stopping every now and then to bend over and drag something around, and just really reminded me of whatever they were doing at the end of Alien.
Well, at the end of every one of these podcasts, I've been doing comparisons to how this film is like Deep Blue Sea, and I really wanted to make a list of how it's like Alien, but it would have been most of the film, I think, down to the mysteriously evil doctor character, who like he's on the. It's Richard. It's full spoilers for Leviathan. If you want to watch it, it's on YouTube in full. Just search Leviathan 1989. Thank you very much to Retro Horror Movies for putting it up there. I couldn't find it anywhere else. But Richard Crenna, Rambo's boss, is the doctor. He seems like he doesn't really care. He's been down there 87 days. He's done. He's not really showing up for his job, even when people are sick and ill and dying. And then halfway, as things go awry as a creature, and he just decides he's gonna kill everyone. He's gonna doom them all.
Well, so okay, this may be up for debate because I mean, is that evil, or is that a very honorable thing where he's trying to keep the creature contained? I mean, it's certainly evil from everyone else's perspective because they want to live. But
he's working out odds with the rest of the crew.
Right.
But yeah,
I can remember.
I get the reasoning behind it. He's sacrificing himself and everyone else down there as well to protect everyone. I mean, he doesn't do a good job because when they get out at the end, the creature gets out as well. So
I couldn't remember if because I knew there was something weird about him. He obviously is like very, as you were saying, he's just checked out. So he's bad in that respect, but then he kind of flip-flops to being, trying to be this very honorable person who is willing to sacrifice himself and everyone else to contain the mutant. But I couldn't remember if he was maybe, because I knew he had that sort of turn, and I couldn't remember if he was, what's the company's name?
Oh, I have no idea.
Transatlantic Drilling or something like that.
I didn't make a note of the company name. That did not strike me as being important.
I couldn't remember.
Tri-Oceanic Core.
Tri-Oceanic.
It's on the Wikipedia page. Like Wikipedia.
Okay. Couldn't remember if he was like, in their pocket essentially, and like trying to get a creature or get a sample of the creature. But yeah, that didn't happen at any point. But
yeah, that'd be going.
At least that didn't happen. At least they didn't rip that off from the Alien franchise.
I was really hoping he'd turn out to be a robot. I was just hoping so much.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't throw that in there somewhere.
That would be, and I'm surprised like Peter Weller's character wasn't named after somewhere in Texas.
Right.
Just like he's another Dallas kind of thing.
Right.
But yeah, I suppose they don't copy the order of deaths. There's actually there's almost 3 people alive at the end. There's 2 people alive at the end.
Yeah.
And the lead of this film, very much male throughout. It's always Peter Weller's film. Yeah. But anyway, I quite enjoyed this. As soon as I picked up that it was an Alien ripoff, I was like, oh, I really like Alien. I don't blame them. Let's see what they do. And it's a much cheaper looking Alien underwater with an all 80s cast. I love when Ernie Hudson isn't anything. Ernie Hudson's great. So,
right.
And he's really good here as well.
Ernie Hudson, definitely one of the MVPs, has some of the best lines.
Especially towards the end, which starts to get really irate at everything.
Right. When the sort of Tri-Oceanic boss, I'm forgetting her name, but
Miss Martin,
when she says, and I agreed with him, because I almost like kind of remembered what he was about to say, but she says, "You must have gone through hell." He's like, "Gone, we're still there." Like, he just has like the best lines, and he's definitely one of the MVPs. And then De Jesus, like they have almost this nice little friendship that quite revolves around puzzles.
Yes,
which I thought you might appreciate.
Yeah.
He Ernie Hudson messes up his puzzle, and then he is seen later trying to reconcile and put the puzzle together with him. And also in that scene, you could tell that whenever somebody puts on headphones so that they can't hear what's going on in the other room, you know that the other person is about to die, and hence the headphones, they can't hear them being murdered or being eaten or whatever. But
yeah, either they're not going to hear somebody dying, or they're not going to hear a killer come up behind them and taking them out. Either way, not a good result for someone nearby.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, love every cast member. Elizondo, Peter Weller, of course, Ernie, as we said, full spoilers, Ernie Hudson. Kind of think he very cruelly dies at the end. Like
Yeah.
he's lived, he's made it, and they just sort of, you don't even really. That was another thing I couldn't quite remember how he died, because you cannot really see him. He doesn't die in even like a really nice, glorious way. He just sort of is pushed down and drowns, I guess. So, but yeah, the cast is one of the best. That's what I was trying to say is, I guess it's the production end of things and maybe the budget where this kind of suffers, because everything else is good. Good cast. I like the dialogue. I mean, the plot and story is derivative, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know why it's not more well known and more respected. I mean, I guess it comes down to the kind of the rip-off qualities, but
And it's directed by George P. Cosmatos, who made he made Rambo: First Blood Part 2, he made Cobra, he made Tombstone.
did not know that he did Tombstone.
Well,
And,
Tombstone's got that. Was it him? Was it Kurt Russell? It's got that
okay.
contentious point to it. But he's the one who's credited for it, and
Right.
there's like scenes with Charlton Heston that were directed by Kevin Jarre.
Right.
The directing of Tombstone is all over the place. Listen to Tombstone Minute. We had the hosts of that, Rob and Duff.
Kind of a poltergeist,
yes,
Toby Hooper
exactly.
Spielberg thing. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, if anyone wants to know more about that, Tombstone Minute is a podcast I would recommend. It's 210 episodes, all about Tombstone. 1 minute.
Well,
no, 130
and I'll say,
episodes.
I was going to say I can't really be too amazed at the Tombstone thing, because I've never quite seen Tombstone all the
It's
way
good.
through.
Tombstone is very, very good. It's one of the best westerns, I would say.
I should watch it and listen to the Tombstone Minute podcast.
Yeah, I've seen the film one time for another podcast, and then listened to the whole podcast, the whole Tombstone Minute. So, but I listened to Titanic Minute first, which is the same hosts, and I love Titanic.
Oh.
And then I've got to the end of it, I thought, what else have these guys done? Tombstone Minute, great, let's get back and listen to that. So yeah, and then I had them on the podcast. That's how podcasting works. He also directed Shadow Conspiracy, like the Charlie Sheen, Donald Sutherland film with Linda Hamilton from '97. It's a film I vaguely remember, but I'm not sure I've ever seen. It's one of those just like political thrillers from the '90s.
Is that the last thing he did?
Yes. Yes.
Mottos? Okay, yeah, that's why that stuck out in my head.
He has now passed away. So
right.
That it was the last thing he would ever do.
He is sadly not around for the Leviathan Renaissance.
Yeah.
But then even I was kind of surprised at just from looking them up. I did not know his name, off the top of my head. But the screenwriter Jeb Stewart, I guess, did Die Hard, or at least he. I don't think he's the only screenwriter credited to some of these, but Die Hard, The Fugitive rather, is something that I really like. So it's got, it's got a good pedigree. So I don't know why it's not more well known.
Yeah, he did the Die Hard screenplay along with Steve D'Souza, based on Roderick Thorpe's novel. But
right.
that's I'm not sure how much of Die Hard is in the novel. It feels more like a film than a book. Obviously, it's a film. What does that even mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I think Steven D'Souza is more known for writing Die Hard, but that could just be he has a better publicist. I don't know.
Could be.
Jeb Stewart does have his name on a lot of good films. Yeah, Another 48 Hours, Lock Up.
Okay. David Twohy is also credited to The Fugitive, as is Roy Huggins.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
He's credited as characters, so
I'm not sure Jeb Stewart's done anything on his own. But either way, he seems to be a good punch-up guy or man to have involved. I enjoyed. We talked about the dialogue already. I laughed at some of these lines, some of this dialogue. It's I like when after Daniel Stern becomes infected and dies from